Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the When in Seoul podcast. Danny Cho here with Bobby Choi.
What's up, everybody?
Hey, everybody. Bobby, me and you just had lunch at a new spot that I found, and I know our bosses hate that we always talk about food. But what are you gonna do? I'm a fat dude. You know what I mean? So we found this maratang place, or I found a maratang place in Sinchon. I think it hit the spot today.
It was good. It was really spicy enough, but the kind of heat that makes you sweat.
Oh yeah.
And so we were just kind of a mess.
Yeah, I took a shower and then I ate. Yeah. And I was just sweating, and Bobby was like, "Yeah, you're just a mess today, you know."
No, but like I was too. Like it felt like we just came out of a sauna.
Yeah. And so
this is a good feeling.
It's a good hangover. I think I found a good like hangover cure spot.
Yeah, and we proceeded to go on a neighborhood walk. I asked you where the cheapest coffee place is, where we could pick like a $1 coffee, and then we walked around the neighborhood.
I felt like we're
arms behind our backs.
Yeah, we're like an old couple, like an old couple, just like let's just take a walk. You know what I mean? By the way, when I see, I think it's a sign of you're a Korean like old person if you have your hands behind your back and walk.
Yeah, I like it though, but it helps me with my posture as well. It's like good for you. But,
because in old school Korean, the dramas, the saguks, only the noble people walk like that. You know what I mean? Like the noblemen walk like, you know what I mean? With their hands behind their back, like the you're under arrest pose, right? And so, it was funny because, every time I walk like that, a part of me feels like maybe I was a noble person in my previous life or whatever.
Well, I live with my in-laws now. It's been like a week or so, or a week, almost 2 weeks. And my in-laws, they have pretty good posture. So I kind of like, I feel like I'm correcting myself whenever I'm around them, and I'm just always checking myself. Yeah. Because I don't want to seem like a bad fit for their daughter. Right. But at the same time, it feels, I've lived alone since I was 14. And now having like basically adult roommates, like older than me, is really weird for me. Like the other day I was leaving the house and my father-in-law was like, "Oh, it's cold outside. You have to put wear something warmer." Yeah. And then to myself, I was like, I'm 42 years old, I don't need someone telling me that I need to put on an extra layer, And so I was like, "Oh no, we're being respectful." Yeah. And I went outside, and maybe like 2 minutes out, I walked back in, and I came back in, and I put another layer on. So it's just like it was cold.
He was right.
He was right. Yeah. So the point is, you're never too old to
get some chansori or to get
chansori.
Well, I think I said in the last episode that my parents were here, and then they left yesterday, so they were here for about a week. And you're right. Like I think I had a year's worth of Korean mom chansori. You know what I mean? Like, because she couldn't tell it to me, you know what I mean, face to face. So she was like, "Oh, it's time." You know what I mean? Like, I saved all this up, and I'm just gonna. It's like, like if you think about like saving coins and throwing it into the Coinstar, like I was the Coinstar, you know what I mean? And she just threw like so much chansori, right? But it was more chansori. She was like, "You should lose some weight. Who's gonna marry you? You poor. Who's you ugly?" And I was like, "Dang." Like, dang.
But like I understand chansori the older I get. Like, it sounds like nonsense when you're younger, because you're doing fine on your own and you can figure things out on your own. But having someone older tell you what to do can get on your nerves. I get it now the older I get, because I want to impart wisdom on younger people.
Right.
Mainly, I just don't want them to act like idiots. You know?
Well,
just so.
Well, I think we've talked about this, but Koreans have a term for it. It's called konde. But it's like a negative connotation.
Yeah.
Like, as in, you're giving advice that's not wanted or warranted. But
no, you're giving advice that no one asked for.
Yeah, but that's what nagging is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? No, you don't ask your mom, like, so...
I'm definitely a kondeshi.
Yeah, kondeshi. No, I mean, I could get it too. Like, you know, I talked about how in the beginning of the stand-up comedy scene here in Korea, when I met those guys, and they weren't good because they didn't know what stand-up was. They just saw it on YouTube, right? And so I saw their sets, and they don't know me, and I'm not famous to them. So, but I was like, hey, maybe the setup's too long. I think you should add this, or, you know, things like that. And they looked at me like, okay, but in their eyes, you know what I mean? Their mouth said, okay, thank you for the advice, but their eyes said, what is this Konde talking about? You know what I mean? Because they didn't, you know, they're like, who is this guy, right?
And then they went out on their own, walked back 2 minutes later. Yeah. Like, oh, you were right.
It happened next week where I did stand up in Korean for the first time, and I did well, I killed. And then they were like, okay, all right, this Konde knows what he's talking about, right? And so, yeah, I mean, like, I feel it. I feel like there's many a times where I wanna do some Konde moves, you know, like, you shouldn't do that, you know. But these days, I've just been quiet.
There should be like a TV sitcom series about a Konde ajashi. I think that would be hilarious. Actually, you know, not to say my father-in-law is a konde, or he does konde. Is it a verb?
It's a noun. It's a noun. Okay. Yeah.
So, actually, in my situation now, I feel like I want to write something about it because I am a foreigner living with, you know, Korean traditional, like a Korean family now. You know, even though I'm of Korean descent,
right?
But me living with my in-laws, my brother-in-law, and, you know, I'm like, I'm from America. Every day is something I learn new about my family, about Korean culture. And it's been a lot of fun at the end of the day. You know, I might get like these konde moments with my father-in-law, but I welcome it. It's like, it's actually, it's funny. Like, I think I actually love it. My situation. You know, I'm going to write about it. I think I'll write something funny about it. Yeah.
So, our week, this past week, we went to an art exhibit by James Jean.
Yeah.
At the Lotte World Tower Museum on the 7th floor.
In Jamshir.
Yeah. Right. And,
I think it was the 6th floor, but.
It was the 7th.
Whatever.
It was a 7.
Okay.
It was a 7. And so, you know, like, I personally didn't know who James Jean was, you know. He's this Taiwanese American.
Oh, you didn't?
Yeah. Artist who, you know, started off, like, doing, like, covers for DC, and then illustrator that went on to do a variety of awesome work, you know.
Yeah, just a mad genius artist. Yeah.
But I didn't know who he was. Right? But you invited me to it. I'm like, all right, let's see if I can get cultured, you know.
Yeah.
And I feel like this about every art exhibit. I feel like I'm so uncultured that I'll look at a painting and I'll be like, oh, that's dope, right? That's cool, but there is no more than that in terms of my feeling for a piece. Like, that's cool, that's dope, but it doesn't make me sad, or it doesn't emote.
Oh, really?
Like a variety of emotions, you know?
Well, for me, I don't know. Art. I was an art major in college. Actually, I was a visual arts major with a concentration in painting. I did that in high school too. I went to high school for art. And I've always had this connection with that kind of work, like James Jean's work. It but when we went to that show and we walked through it, it's actually called Eternal Journey. It's the name of the exhibit, and It's the largest James Jean exhibit to date, and it's you can check it out if you're in Seoul. I think it's up till May 31st or something like that.
No, it was really cool.
Just walking through it and the sheer amount of work that was actually displayed and shipped in was just mind-blowing. As an artist and having a small background in visual art, like it just made me feel so small and like almost like kind of destroyed me. But then was my journey through it. Like halfway through, I was like I felt so insignificant in what I do as an artist, as making songs and stuff. But by the end, I had this kind of resolve, like, no, I'm not. I'm looking at it the wrong way, and I just came out inspired. Like I just need to work harder. I just need to put more effort and not complain as much. Just, at the end of the day, when you're finished with your works, I don't know. I'm proud of my work. I'm proud of all the albums I put out, all the songs I've written. I haven't picked up a paintbrush since college. Because my artwork wasn't that very good. So I kind of like just left that behind. But I've always needed to be artistic or creative. I feel like that's really important for me to continue to create. So
yeah, and I mean, like for me, my relationship with art is that I was always bad at it. I was terrible at it. Like my first B I ever got was in the second grade, and it was art. Because art, like I can't draw. Like every time I see like people that draw well, I get jealous. I don't know if I talked about this, but to this day, if I draw a human being, their hands always look like cacti.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like I don't. They all look like they have baseball mitts on both hands. Like, what I mean? I can't draw. Period. Right. And so I was watching this. I was going through this exhibit, and I was like, "Wow, that's cool. That's dope." But given that, I felt like I didn't want to be the person to look like I don't know. I shouldn't be there. Like I had to put on a show. You know what I mean? An act. And so here's my technique for if you guys go to an art exhibit and you don't want to look like you're clueless. What you do is you stare at the art piece, right? Maybe you rub your chin a little bit. Then you go, in your head, you go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Shake your head a little bit, then you move to the next piece. You know what I mean? So people can look at you and be like, "Oh wow, like this guy's really into it, or this person's really into it." But
you're really a big phony.
Yes. I'm, so you can't grab your chin the same way on the next art piece, right? So next time you maybe just kind of cock your head to the side, like you got like water in your ear, that move, and you just kind of, all right, 1, 2,
take a few steps back. Like put your hands out, make a frame with your hands. Yeah,
and then so like I invited some people, and one of the she was a comedian, and she goes, "Wow, like this is really sad, like he has a lot of sadness in his paintings, right?" And I was like, "Yeah, it's very sad." And then I looked at the painting, I'm like 5, 4. I was like, "I don't know what you're talking about, girl," but like but ultimately, I looked at the stuff. And I don't know about inspired, but if I had a lot of money, I would have bought a lot of paintings.
Based on it looking dope.
Yeah.
Right? Not so much about how the emotions.
Yeah. No.
I get it. Yeah. Yeah. A lot of this James Jean's artwork is just sick.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to emote emotions.
Right.
It's just like, well, actually the emotion it's emoting is like, oh, that's dope. That's amazing. Whatever you call that.
But I feel really like
good to look at.
I mean, do you think as an artist that's you have that in the back of your mind that you want the consumer to feel that even with your music or with comedy? You know what I mean? Because for me,
to
comedy,
a certain extent, it's like very subjective though.
Yeah.
Like some people, like whenever I get to act, like I've sung "But I Will" every day, the song I wrote at a number of weddings, and that song is that song is about being single. So I don't know why people want me to sing that. I know why,
right.
you know, but it means something different for everyone, and I don't mind that. I don't mind people like listening to my music and having their own conclusion about what I'm singing about. That's fine. That's their prerogative. I want any connection possible with the person that's listening to my music,
right.
And they can interpret it any way they want.
Yeah, because for me, all I want is them to think, "Oh, that was funny," you know. And I mean, this happened last week too. So I did an English set for the first time in a long time. Tried out some new bits. You were there, and it was standing room only because it was a very small room.
Yeah, I was there, but I couldn't even fit in the room, so I listened from downstairs.
But you know, Bobby, you heard some of my new stuff. You know, actually, one of the jokes comes from you. You know, and I was like, yes.
I was happy to hear it.
I stole a Bobby joke. You know what I mean?
It wasn't a stole thing. You know, anytime I see you, Danny, it's basically all the stories I'm telling you. I'm like secretly hoping that you'll use it. You'll like pick up some material from what I say, because you know I'm a stand-up head. Like I love watching stand-up.
A stand-up head.
Yeah.
I don't even know if that's really a term, but that's funny.
And I hope you use it.
Yeah. So no, you know, I felt good. I felt rusty, but I felt good in the sense that, like I still have some chops in English. You know what I mean? Like it didn't deteriorate because I didn't do a set in English for like almost 5 months, you know? And so I still had a little bit of, I mean, I still have more work to do, and I'm, you know, trying to do more English shows. But anyway, enough of how our week went.
Yeah.
Let's get into the news topics, guys. The first one was actually sent to us by a fan, a listener of the podcast.
Yeah, big shout out to Howard Min for sending us a message. We actually read messages that people send us, so please do send us in your messages and your emails and your comments and stuff like that. So Howard actually brought up an article that he found interesting that pertains to us a bit, I guess, because we live in Korea. And I'm hoping you could take over here so I can like blow my nose.
So the headline is Verizon launches mobile 5G network early, stripping South Korea of bragging rights. So the South Korean government expected its 3 cellular carriers to be the world's first to offer commercial 5G services with smartphones based on the 3GPPS's official 5G standard. Verizon today launched its mobile 5G network ahead of schedule, a win for the U.S. company as it sought to establish further global 5G bragging rights. So basically, like, you know, for all those listeners, South Korea, to me, their telecommunications game is just beyond awesome, you know? Better compared to U.S. because back home, Verizon was my mobile carrier. You know, but for Verizon to be like, we did it first.
Yeah,
you know?
I don't know. It feels like I didn't know there was a race to 5G. To be honest, like I mean, living in Seoul, we take for granted the fact that internet service is so fast and phone service, all that, until you get to the States and you're like, why is everything so slow?
Yeah.
But then you forget, you know, Korea has less land to cover.
Yeah.
Like the U.S., so I get it. Verizon can be like, oh, we got there first. Like, I guess it's a big deal in the technology world, but really it's like on YouTube.
Right.
YouTube, like, when you see any video, the first comment is first. Like,
I know.
They're the first one, but... And it's not, who cares?
It's like online tag, you know what I mean? Like, so here's some little bit of education. For those that don't know what 5G is, 5G, the G in the 5G, it's talking about the generation of the wireless technology. So it's the 5th generation. While most generations have technically been defined by their data transmission speeds, each also has been marked by a break in encoding methods. So basically, 1G was analog cellular. So it's like the old school, no text, just a call. 2G technologies is where text messaging was enabled. 3G was when a video, was implemented. 4G, basically an LTE, it was the next leap forward in terms of how fast or how much data was being spit out. And so the 5G brings 3 new aspects to the table. A greater speed to move more data, lower latency, and the ability to connect a lot more devices at once.
You're forgetting one, though.
What?
The OG.
That joke was an OMG, dog. Oh my goodness.
So they should just call the 1G OG.
Yeah.
Right?
OG. Original gangster. So, I mean, to me, do you think it needs to be faster?
Sure. I mean, based on, I guess right now, within like in 2 years or 3 years, 5G will be the norm. And this conversation will not matter, I guess. But like 5G will introduce like the world, like 3D,
VR,
that stuff, implemented into your phone. Like I saw a really good use of 5G in what do you call it? I think you can watch like a ball game, for instance. A baseball game, and you can choose the angle you want to see of a pitcher. Right. Like, and you can move it around. Like, it's not like picking a screen, but you can actually move the camera, or I don't know. It's pretty cool. Yeah. There's like a lot of. I'm so old, I can't even. It's all good, I guess. For me, I just need the texting. That's about it. Like, I don't need the video and stuff as much, but I feel like I'm getting older and older. I don't know how to use this stuff.
I mean, to me, when I think about this article, what pops into my mind really is my history when it comes to telecommunications. Like my first cell phone, and its capabilities. Like, for example, the first time I connected with somebody to play a video game wasn't through the telephone. It was through a calculator, the TI-85 scientific calculator, right? Where the only game...
Texas Instruments.
Yes. The only game that you could play connected was like Pong, right? But the way you connect it is you have to have like a cord that connects both calculators to each other, and then you can play Pong. And I spent a lot of high school homeroom. There was a class where you just did nothing, right? And then that's what we did. Me and people played this game. It
was a version of internet.
Yes,
like intranet, I guess.
Yeah. And so that was like my first kind of, what do you call it, connectivity type of thing. At the time, I had a cell phone. My first cell phone was the Nokia 5190, which was it was a brick Nokia, where people, like, the thing was to change the face cover, like, because to make it like you customize it. You can customize the antenna. And the only game you played on that one was the Snake.
Okay. This is bringing me back. I'm going to take it even further back. Because in high school, I remember my brother had bought a computer for me to use for basically word processing at the time. It was a compact computer. And I remember it cost at least $3,000, which is expensive. This was like in the early 90s.
Okay.
And all I used it for was solitaire. So I remember being just like this $3,000 machine to play solitaire and Minesweeper. You remember that game, Minesweeper?
Those are the, like, you know, that's a lot of money to play Minesweeper.
My first phone, like, I remember getting the first iPhone I got was the iPhone 3. Mm-hmm. I still have that at home. I should really? like pop it out. I have it in the box somewhere. But I have this idea of using it because it did have like a photo. I think it might have had video, but really bad quality video. I almost want to use it and make like a video, like a music video with that technology.
Okay.
It'd probably look really bad. But just so I could say this was made with an iPhone 3. Made with an iPhone 3, you know, like.
And before the cell phone era, there was a beeper pager era, you know?
Yeah. In Korea they call them beep beep.
The beepies, right? And so I remember having a pager, you know. And so to me, like right now, I don't know. This is me being like a old school, slightly conde-ish, but like to me, this is enough. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like it's like video games. You know, like me and my friend's son used to play this NBA 2K basketball game, right? Mm-hmm. And it comes out every year, and every year it looks more and more and more realistic. You know, before it looked like cartoons, right?
Yeah,
you know, but now like. You could see that the player is sweating.
Oh, really?
You know what I mean? Like, and you could tell that they're tired. Like, I was like,
crazy detail.
I was like, do I need to see this dude sweat? You know, like I know LeBron James is tired in the game.
Yeah.
But you know, now it's gotten to that level where you know, like even like those shooter games. I remember when I was younger, the shooter games was cartoony. Like there's games like Doom or Wolfenstein where you're the first person shooter.
Yeah.
Where you just press a button. You like, you know, it's like a movie. You get shot like, you know, 15 times. You're still alive, you know? But now these Call of Duty games, like, you know, like.
Yeah, I mean, the detail is amazing. They use actual guns that exist in the world.
Yeah.
Right? Everything down to the ammunition, like they just everything is actual, but just in
yeah.
So
even the games now that they play, even Koreans like Battleground is a game like that everyone loves to play. More cartoony is like that game called Fortnite that's more popular in the States than it is here. Okay. But you know, just to see the evolution of gaming and technology, a part of me goes, where does it end?
Right.
You know, does it get to a place where it's like, all right, I'm going to figure out how to actually get into the mind of LeBron James and play the, you know what I mean? Like where does it end? Because a part of me goes, I think we're good enough. You know?
Yeah, I mean, if we didn't get any further with technology, I think we'd be fine as a people, as humans go. You know, like I think we'll be okay, right?
Yeah.
We could probably even take a few steps back. But I mean, with 5G now, you know, our kids, this will be like old school for them. This will be their compact computer with a solitaire in it. You remember when they used to have like unrealistic sweat in the games?
Like Mortal Kombat. You remember that game Mortal Kombat where you punch someone and like spaghetti pasta sauce was their blood, you know, came out was blood. But now
like pixelized blood.
Yeah. You know what's interesting is that like your kid will not know what it was like to not have internet.
I don't know. I'm thinking about doing like an experiment with my family, with my kid, and just maybe have him grow up the way I did, but not let him know that better technology exists.
What, he doesn't have friends? Like he's not gonna have friends. He's not gonna be like, "Yo, what's with this abacus?"
Exactly. I'm like, look, I'm on the market right now looking for like a Sega Genesis and just have them play those video games and be like really good at those. And like, I don't know.
What?
What do you think?
He's gonna be like Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah.
Right? He's the only one that knows Sonic the Hedgehog out of his friends. No, man, like
I mean, do they need all this? Like, do they? I guess they do. They need to keep up with other kids.
yeah, because they're gonna be the outcasts. You know?
Yeah, I get it.
Like people tell me that the reason why kids go to hagwons is not just to keep up with the rest of the kids.
Yeah,
but that's their source of like social environment. It's kind of like how Koreans treat church sometimes. They don't go there necessarily for God. They go there for like seeing their friends on every week.
Oh, back in the States, that was very much a thing.
Yeah. So my take is let's slow it down a little bit. Like we don't need extra stuff. Matter of fact, and you said this is that we can go back to the old school.
Yeah.
And that leads us to our next topic, which is that it's called the new retro. It's a fad that's going on, right? Where retro is the new modern, right?
Is it actually called new retro?
New retro.
New retro. Oh, is it a Korean thing? Koreans are okay.
Yes. New retro has been popular among millennials. It is different from retro in that people not only treasure the antiques, but they try to recreate them.
Right. You sent me this article on Korea Times. I kind of perused it. I didn't get too deep into it, but I kind of got the gist. It's new retro is kind of like that. Like going to, I saw a photo in the article where it's a cafe, but the furniture is like that old school black pearl kind of Korean old school furniture.
Right.
That looks like I don't know, what's like that pearly design kind of stuff. But it's like you take all that old stuff, put it into a new setting, and it's all of a sudden cool.
Right.
I thought the word for new retro was basically similar to hipster. Kind of.
What's interesting though? Like the term hipster, right? Like back home, people don't like to be called hipsters, even though they are.
I mean, it's been around for at least 20 years now. I think, as far as I can remember.
Koreans like to be called hipsters. That are hipsters.
Yeah.
Because they like to be part of a group. No matter what. To me, the idea of being a hipster is going against the grain, right?
Yeah.
But Koreans, like someone told me that Koreans, as much as they like to be more individual, they still like to be part of a group more. They're used to it. And so that's why they love being called hip or hipster,
Yeah.
There's another term for it, which is insa.
Okay. Insa?
Insa, which is kind of like shortened for like insider, like meaning like person that knows that's hip and knows like the new stuff, I
thought it meant something like Instagrammable, but it was like to shorten.
Instagrammable saram.
Instagrammable seems like a very hipster movement.
Yes.
Like I just saw something about the poppy fields in California, where people are going there and destroying the poppies because they just want a good Instagram photo.
Just lay in a poppy field and just destroy the poppies.
Yeah. Anyway, back onto retro, new retro. What's it called?
New retro, right?
New retro. Okay.
So the thing is, like for example, like a kid found his like grandfather's old film like camera. Right?
Yeah.
And the kids these days, they don't know what like a film camera is unless you study that, right? And so he rebuilt it, and he enjoys taking pictures off of his grandfather's old camera, things of that nature, where it's not just like, hey, look at this, I have an old toy. It's like using it, to be cool, right?
Okay.
And this fad started because a couple of years ago, there was a cable show called Reply 1988, and
what was the Korean title on that?
응답하라 1998 or 1988, right?
Okay.
And so this was the third series like they had an installment. The first one was Reply 1997. The second one was Reply 1994. And the third one was Reply 1988. And so the series depicted the lifestyle of teenagers back in 1988. And so that was it was a big hit. I mean, actually all three shows were a big hit, but to me, I liked Reply 1988 the most.
Okay.
Cause I just felt like it was more of a fuller story. It was a fuller story, right?
Okay.
And so after that, basically the one research fellow says the media depicted the 1980s as a decade full of humanism. This affected the millennials' way of thinking of the past decade. People in their 20s who didn't exist in the 1980s view the decade positively, believing, unlike today, people back then were warm, humanistic, relaxed, as they had no worries about getting jobs. So to them, they're saying that it was a cooler time back then, as opposed to now, which it feels like it's a little bit more cutthroat, and the worries of stress in life.
That's not the way I remember the 80s.
Because we weren't in Korea, you know what I mean?
Oh, right, okay, yeah.
Right.
Oh, right, it depicts the 80s in Korea.
Yeah.
But Korea still had like MacGyver and right.
MacGyver. So my whole thing was now. We all grew up, me and you both grew up in the 80s. I mean, you had a little bit of overlap into the 70s, but,
right.
but for the most part, we were, products of the 80s, right? What are things that you miss about the 80s?
Me? Mm-hmm. I miss, arcades. I remember, that used to be a thing. We didn't have computers that we could play, or phones, for that matter, that we could play games. I actually liked going to the arcades, lining up your quarters, waiting in line for the next hot game.
Right.
That kind of still went on. That spilled into the 90s with, Street Fighter 2. And then it kind of peaked, at least for my generation. I think it kind of peaked with Street Fighter 2. And then we started playing computer games after that, right? So, arcades was a big thing. Going to the movies was a bigger thing when I was younger than it is now. Yeah, it
was an event. It was a planned event to go to the movies
as a family.
Yes,
I don't mean just with your friends and stuff, but I don't know. This might be when you're young, you do things with your family, so that might not be the case. But I don't know. Just off the top of my head, I'm thinking.
I miss just playing. I remember as a kid, you could just walk to the neighborhood park, with your friends or whatever, recreation center, and you can play kickball with your friends, or you can play stickball, or I don't feel like. I mean, number one, I'm old, so I just can't go to a park because that'll make me look like a creep, right? But just that overall idea of no, you didn't need a cell phone to be like, yo, let's meet up here. You just knew that your neighborhood friends were there. Yeah. And then you can just hang out, but that type of. And, the rule for me was when the street lights come on is your time to get home. It was that kind of, there was no, mom, can I stay home late? It was, if that street light comes on, you need to get home, right? So that was kind of the, idea. I mean, to me, when you watch the show, The Wonder Years, and we talked about it, what is it called? Kevin and 열 Cesar or something like that. To me, that depicted not necessarily a better time, but there was something oddly wholesome and something that I wish I lived in the 60s or whatever that was.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. It's that feeling of, I mean, when I was younger, one of the best memories, best years, were when we rode around with bikes and met other kids in the neighborhood with bikes, and we just all go wherever we wanted. No helmets, no elbow pads. Just kind of it was just that nostalgic era of not being. So our parents didn't care,
right?
how unsafe it was.
Yeah.
But nowadays, you know, kids, they have electronic scooters and things. I feel more unsafe for kids these days more than ever. But I look back on the past where it was probably much more dangerous.
Yeah,
you know, because we didn't have phones for emergencies. Like if some kid, I remember I got into a really bad accident, a bike accident, and basically I needed to be rushed to the hospital, but I was just with other kids. They didn't know what to do, so what they did was I went off a bike ramp and I basically landed and in a bad way. And I couldn't move, and no cell phones as kids.
Yeah.
So everyone abandoned their bikes, and just like 10 kids carried me back home.
Really?
Yeah, for I don't know however many blocks.
Wow.
They just left their bikes, and then they took me home. My parents didn't know what to do. I mean, they've never. We didn't have insurance or anything like that, so they just put me on my bed. I didn't have to go to school for 2 weeks, and I just had it was a weird time.
Yeah,
you know,
no.
like that's how they dealt with it. And then it turned out I had a broken nose, and to this day I have a crooked nose. So whenever I look in the mirror, I'm like, oh. I have a crooked nose because I grew up in a time where you can just just throw caution to the wind.
Here's some room temperature soda and shut up. You know what I mean? Here's
I don't know.
Here's some Robitussin. No, but you know, I don't know. Like to me, I miss those days. You know, like where I want to see kids play. You know, I want to see that kind of thing. But you know, it's interesting because you know when I ride the bus. Or when I ride the subway, and sometimes I'll see like high school, junior high kids are on the bus, and the stuff that they're talking about, I'm like, wow, I am definitely from a way different generation because and maybe even culturally, the conversations are so different. You know, from what I remember my high school. I mean, yeah, granted, like, you know, when I was in middle school, like I was talking to a bunch of cholos, right? Some Mexican gangsters. So it was like, hey, fool, let's go, you know, well, this is the conversation. But here, and a part of me goes, wow, you guys curse a lot, you know?
Oh, yeah.
I was like, wow, these Korean kids, like junior high kids curse a lot.
I hear, that's true.
Yeah. I mean, granted, again, for me,
you're a kondeshi.
Yeah, no. Yeah, but granted, in my junior high days, I too curse a lot, you know. Yeah. But I was like, wow, this is interesting, you know. So I don't know, man. I just looking at it like I don't know. Maybe this whole episode should be titled like Kondes to Kyopo Kondes talking, right? But to me, like you know, I don't necessarily think that all advancement in technology is good, you know.
Yeah, I don't know. Like it just reminds me of when I was younger and I had to like teach my parents about technology. Like I was the one reading the instructions and stuff. Yeah. I feel like these kids, they look at us like they don't know what they're doing. Yeah. It's just our time. It's just that cycle of life. We're being booted out with every day.
No, you know
this 5G stuff. Ooh. We don't even. I don't care. I don't care if 8G comes out sooner than it's supposed to. I'm just like, okay, just whatever. Like, stop texting me offers on, I don't know, like furniture that I don't know. I can't even think. I get so many spam things a day. It's part of my my daily routine to be like answer a spam call and just I want to see how fast I can hang up on them. So I don't need that coming faster with a 5G network.
No, so I mean, I read somewhere that due to the 5G networks, and I don't know the science or the technology behind it, but there are a lot more opportunities for your information to be leaked in a 5G network. That is what I'm told.
Okay.
Yeah, but I don't know the science behind it. So for any of our listeners that are more well-informed about this topic, can you please email us at peninsulapod@gmail.com.
Speaking of something I want to... we have an article that we've been wanting to talk about. But this reminds me, because as we were walking today and we were walking by a... just a sagori?
Yeah.
What do you call those?
Intersections.
In English? Intersection.
You forgot sagori?
Yo, man, yeah. I'm just like, I'm totally out of it. I'm getting older and older as we speak. But I saw, it reminded me of this article about them starting to put out lasers at intersections to distract people that are walking and using their phone at the same time, or they're doing something on their phone. Get off your phone while you're crossing intersections, because there's apparently Korea is pretty high when it comes to accidents. Yeah, because I almost cursed, but because people are on their phones. You remember that that person that actually walked off a bridge and died because they were on their phone.
They walked off a bridge?
Yeah, that happened like last year or 2 years ago or something like that. Where now apparently there's just these lasers that
every time you say lasers, it reminds me of Austin Powers.
Okay, here's the news topic. Here's the headline. It says lasers on road crossings to distract people from using their phones. Okay. This was on Vice.com. Yeah. And typically these trials were happening in South Korea because it's such a bad... Excuse me, that maratang is getting to me.
The maratang!
So South Korea trials lasers on road crossings to distract people from their phone use. Oh man, I'm like
you're all stuffed up.
Stuffed up. Yeah.
So I'll take over. So in 2017, the traffic accident analysis system reported that about 1,600 pedestrians were killed in auto-related accidents in Korea. Yeah. Basically, people are walking into traffic because they're on their phones, and so they even coined a new word, which is smombies. Which is the smartphone and zombies put together. There's a lot of smombies. We saw a few smombies today, right? So Koreans need to stop adding words together. They don't all sound good, by the way. Right?
What do you think of these lasers, though? I think it's a good idea, but in theory, it's a good idea. Yeah. But these things cost apparently about $13,000 per intersection to put these out. Yeah. And my idea is, instead of just spending that much money, just get a bunch of kondes, old ajashis at each corner per day. Yeah. To have them yelling at people. Some ajashis being 이놈의 자식들아! 야! 전화 쓰지 마! Don't use it again. How much cheaper would that be? Just pay them minimum wage. Yeah. They get to do their conde stuff, and they love imparting that knowledge on youngsters anyway. I'll sign up to do that. I would love to just hang out on corners and hang out with my friends, my ajashi friends. You be on one corner, I be on one, and whoever can call out these kids on their phone. Hey, get up! 야, 전화 쓰지 마! You gotta walk across the street before you...
Because, there's those the people that work in front of schools for, kids to cross, Yeah. So it's kind of like that, except we don't need flags. We just... give them a... That's a great idea.
As that's also will solve that problem of, them saying technology taking away jobs from actual humans. Yeah, give some jobs back to the humans. Enough of this laser nonsense. Like, here we go. Like, just like with the...
Pew, pew! Yeah. Like, every time I hear a laser, pew, pew,
give
pew.
us some out-of-work ajishis some work.
Yeah.
Where they can actually use their wisdom. Just, all they have to do is talk about their history to these kids walking across the street. Back when I was your age, we didn't need phones. We didn't have phones.
We had sticks. I kept this balls and no, but you know what though?
Saving lives.
You know what though? And this is kind of, it might sound mean, but I think we need to thin out the herd.
Here we go again. We're like, let's just sink a bunch of cruise ships.
Yeah.
Like random cruise ships so we can work on the human population problem.
It's a very Bill Burr type of comedy routine, but I agree with it. You know what I mean?
If there's going to be people that have to, like, if we have to lose some people, it might as well be the people walking around using their phone crossing streets. Yeah,
it's what is that? It's that natural selection, like the survival of the fittest. If you that dumb to die because of that, and I feel like, and myself included, that we're so addicted to our smartphones. You know what I mean? Matter of fact, if you're on the subway, you are the weirdo if you're not on your phone.
Yeah.
Everyone's on their phone, whether it's like watching videos, reading articles, playing games.
You know what? I'm guilty of using my phone too while walking. But I'm happy to say though, and I'm kind of proud of the fact that I have not walked off a bridge or taken a selfie, at like off of some cliff, and like fall to my death, like just so I could get a selfie. Like those people, maybe I don't feel so bad for them taking a leap.
No, because I know it might be tragic for those that like who have family members that die because of it.
It is tragic. I don't mean to poke fun at it, but come on.
But I mean, come on. Like, we need to thin out the herd. All
right. With that said, I guess.
For those that agree with Danny, agree with me, please email us at peninsulapod@gmail.com. Leave comments. Yo, man, like, I don't want to sound like a mean person, but I'm just saying, like, Bill Burr says, like, if we Thanos it, if we Thanos it, and like, let's say half the people died, or like not died, but just got eliminated, then air pollution wouldn't be that big of a problem here, I think. You know what I mean?
A lot of things would get better, I'm sure. But here we are. You know what? With that, that's us two Kondeshis.
This is the Konde episode.
Copyright. I wonder if that's a thing. If people call people Kondeshis,
not shis, they just say Kondes.
Yeah. That's my. I'm gonna coin that phrase
because the she is from the ajashi part, right?
Ajashi,
right,
Konde,
right.
Kondeshi right here, number one. Kondeshi number two.
And so for a woman, it's Kondema. It's Kondema. So yeah, thanks for listening. If you have questions or comments, email us at peninsulapod@gmail.com. You can follow us on Instagram and on YouTube at peninsulapod. Talk to you next time.
We out.
Today